Thank you, Ken Corla. First of all, can I thank both ministers for being here today, and to Minister Butler for listening and giving me a considered response. Obviously, you just arrived now, Minister, and I'll come back to your amendment and what it says. Now, Minister, one of the things you said to me was you could work with the contents of my motion, broadly speaking, except for the stabilisation funding request. And I want to explain to you where that comes from. That funding would be to stabilise those nursing homes in counties where fair deal payments are lowest. So let me explain, because one issue I didn't get to in my introduction was the difference in fair deal funding to different types of nursing homes. You're quite familiar with it, Minister. And as I said earlier, I relied on the ESRI report, and it identified large differences in fair deal funding across public and voluntary or private nursing homes. And it tells us the average price for a fair deal funded bed in public nursing homes is 55% higher than in voluntary or private nursing homes. And then it goes on to say, this puts many private, voluntary and not-for-profit providers under severe pressure. That's what the ESRI says in its 2024 report. And Minister, that's what I'm talking about. You're the Minister, you know how to deal with this in a better way than me. I'm putting forward proposals. If you can live with some of them, that's good. And if you can come forward with others, I'll be happy. I just want to see that this sector, and especially the smaller nursing homes, can survive. And just to give an example, because sometimes an example illustrates very clearly, and again, these are from the ESRI. The average private nursing home fair deal rate in Leitrim is €1,041 per patient per week. The same in a private nursing home in Dublin is €1,302, the average per patient per week. If you had a 40-bed nursing home, that's a difference of over €500,000. And don't tell me that those extra costs are in Dublin, because they're not. But on top of that, you have the third tier. You have a public nursing home bed. And according to the SRI, they're on average 55 to 60% more per patient. So again, going back to Leitrim, you're telling me that you're giving an extra uplift, an extra payment of 5, 6, 7%. And that's fine. But the difference between the payments in Leitrim and Dublin for private nursing homes, as I said, is working out at around €261 per patient per week. A 7% increase, top of the range, is still only closing that gap to the tune of €72. I won't even talk about the difference in public nursing homes. You know the story. So, Minister, that's why I'm saying we need some kind of stabilisation fund, because I'm really concerned that some of those smaller nursing homes will close. And you and I know, if they close, they won't reopen. Yes, other nursing homes may open, but they won't be in the same place. They'll be in larger towns and cities, and older people will have to leave their communities, their doctors, their pharmacists, their families, and their friends. So to me, that's a crucial issue. And the consolidation of nursing home ownership will bring about greater regional imbalance. And it means that counties like Sligo, Leitrim, Donegal, that I represent, rural counties with a higher dependency ratio, will suffer the most. So, Minister, I am pleased that you could live with the rest of my motion, in particular to reform the fair deal pricing model so that it's based on resource allocation. I fully believe that, like Childcare, the money should follow the patient. But until you get that in place, Minister, and it's not in place now and it won't be in place for a while, I'm asking that you look at some kind of stabilisation fund to make sure that a lot of the smaller nursing homes that I'm speaking about, that they don't close, that they can hold on, because they know you plan to bring about that reform, and in the meantime they can keep going. Minister O'Gorman, I read your amendment and I was a bit disappointed with your response from the perspective that you didn't deal with the two main issues. You did sort of in the end about the Charter of Accounts, and I'll come back to that, but you didn't really deal with the issues that I raised. I wonder, are you aware of a document that was produced today by called United We Stand? It was published by the Federation of Early Childcare Providers with over 300 letters from over 500 submissions, asking that you would listen and really consult with the sector. You weren't here earlier, but I do appreciate you are here now. And one of the points I made earlier was that I see childcare like a three-legged stool. And you have made progress. You've made progress on fees. There needs to be more, but you've made progress. You've made progress on staff payments. Again, further to go, but you have made progress. But the third leg of the stool, the providers, they're the leg of the stool that's broken for many of them. And I've been meeting them, Minister, at meeting after meeting, in the AV room, outside, the Dáil, all over my own constituency, not just in recent months, but over the last 2 years in particular. And I wonder, were you listening to Liveline this afternoon? Probably not. But Minister, one parent after another spoke of not being able to access childcare. And the reason that's happening, or part of the reason, is that many small childcare providers are closing this summer or next summer. The most recent meeting I attended was in Sligo, and 7 services were saying that they'll either close this year or next year. That's 10% of the total childcare provision. I said to Minister Butler earlier, a small village, Coolani, 1,000 people, 3 childcare providers, 2 of them are closing this summer. And Minister, that's happening because some of these providers are stuck in a historical model of a pay freeze. Now, I know why you did that, but new entrants to the market, new childcare providers in new premises, many of them large groups, many of them multinational groups, they can charge higher fees and still access the core funding. So, Minister, I was asking that you would look at this and try to end that historical fee freeze and in some way balance out between the two. And I think if you could do that, it would go a long way. I also asked for an increase in ECHI payments to €100. I'm not sure if you're prepared to go that far, but I'm asking you to go as far as you can. And the final point, Minister, and I don't know how to say this, but if there's one word that comes to me every time I think of meetings that I've had with childcare providers, is the fact that they want a bit of respect, that they actually want somebody to listen to what they're saying. And in particular, I'm talking about the issue of 2 sets of accounts. Now, I know that it probably suits somebody in Pobble or in your department, but to think that a small childcare provider with 10 or 15 children has to do 2 sets of accounts, one running from December to December for revenue, and one running from September to August for Pobble. and that a chartered accountant has to oversee those accounts. Apart from the work involved, the massive cost involved is huge. Different timelines, 2 different sets of accounts, extra work. Minister, I don't know what you can do, how far down the road you are on this, but really, if you can do anything to cut back on this unbelievable bureaucracy and red tape that's been forced on the shoulders of childcare providers, I would earnestly ask you to do so. Thank you.